welcome to Theater and Stream's Watchlist, the May 2026 edition. I am Matt, that is Chuck, and this is our monthly show that's dedicated to all the other stuff that we don't have time to cover on our flagship podcast. Now, that show is called Theater and Stream, a film podcast, and do be sure to check out our latest episode about Wishes Gone Bad. That one's featuring the latest buzzy horror hit Obsession. But this show here, the very one that you're watching right now, this is the watch list. And today we are running the gamut of selections. We have the latest theatrical horror films. We have the long-awaited second season of a critically acclaimed show. We have some high-grade Netflix slop. And we've got the first-time watch of a legendary sci-fi series. So Chuck, my only question to you is, where do we go first?
Well, we're going to get right into it because I want to know what you are getting out of Deep Space Nine once I get my graphics under control here. Because you are in the middle of just watching the first season. Is that correct?
Yeah, so at this point, we've seen a majority of the first season. And so, yeah, and if people don't remember, I have a couple of videos up on the channel, a couple of mini-sodes, and then also Chuck and I did talk about it on our regular podcast show that last year I watched The Next Generation for the very first time. And so I thought, it's been, about 6 months since we ended that. And so the logical next step, of course, would be to watch Deep Space Nine. And so we are, like I said, towards the tail end of the first season. And thoughts so far, I guess, are I am enjoying this, regardless of the quality in the first season. I can see the potential, and this is definitely a show I would rather be watching than most current TV, most TV that is on the streaming services nowadays. However, I find this vastly inferior to TNG. And most notably, I think Avery Brooks is a really bad actor, and maybe that'll change. Maybe he'll get better. I don't know. But I don't know, when Cisco, when he talks, I find that it really, it seems to me like he is literally reading like the script verbatim. Like he's like looking off camera like Marlon Brando used to do and looking at like cue cards or something, because he's just, his line delivery is often very flat, and he tends to like string like sentences together in like a really unnatural way where it's like, okay, you probably should have put like a pause there, or probably should have inflected your voice in some way there, but you didn't. You just basically said that line as if you were reading it off of a script page, and it's very weird. But and otherwise, I've heard this though. That's the thing. I've heard such. TNG, I always heard that with that show too, where people were like, you need to get over the hump of the first season. And I don't think it's as egregious with that show, but I find it egregious here, where I'm like, okay, this is pretty bad so far. This is like kind of, there are standout episodes, definitely. Like I liked the episode where they played like the board games or whatever, or the casino games, and that race of aliens they caught. What's his name? God, why am I blanking on his name now? The guy who runs the bar, the alien that runs the bar. Yeah. They caught him cheating, and then they like made him play that game where they like transported all the other members of the crew to like the board game. I like that episode.
Really?
I like
is that the Trello Humain? That's two more. Is it that one?
Yeah,
Dude,
it is.
I hate that episode.
Oh, I love it. It was so cheesy, and it's so like it's. I think I'm in the minority. I mean, I will say that I think I'm in the minority with that one. I don't think a lot of people do like that one. But then there are other ones that of course are sort of legendary, like the Nagus episode with Wallace Shawn. That episode rules. I think it's called Captive Pursuit, which is the one with the alien that comes through the wormhole and he's being chased by the bounty hunters. That episode was really, really good. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, I'm excited to see where it goes, basically. That's kind of where I'm sitting at right now, where I can see the potential. I'm really intrigued by characters like Dax.
Mm-hmm.
That is a wild idea for a character, especially in like when this show was made, as far as like this alien like parasite that has been both like men and women at various points. And it's just a wild idea for like the early 90s. And so I
Dude,
can't wait to see where that goes.
especially in that first season, the first step, like the pilot in particular, the vibes
Mhm.
between Dax and Cisco are so weird. Like,
Yeah.
like the way that Cisco says "old man," it's like, are you like hitting on her, or are you like what's happening? Like, this is so like the vibes are just weird, throughout that. And yeah, it's like, yeah, unfortunately, yeah, this is just a single slice of a very, tasty sandwich. And there's some condiments and bread in that first season, and like the really juicy morsels are on the interior. The for me personally, like it it stops being a hey, we're just hanging out here, in our little remote corner of the galaxy, to hey, we're traveling across the galaxy through a wormhole, and we're starting an interstellar war. Like you get with it. Like hop in, boys. Like we're going to the mall. Like everything starts popping off. Pretty quick. Once the Dominion show up, and that's when like characters like Odo and Kira really start to flesh out. And like, God, what's his name? He's like barely in the first season, but he's like the main, the people who like I can't think of his name. I can't even think of their race. They were the ones
Jordan?
they were subjugating the Bajorans.
Oh, yeah. No, I know. Yeah, I know what you're
Gul
talking about.
Dukats. Gul Dukats.
Yeah.
One of the best characters ever.
Mhm.
And like of course Morn. You gotta love Morn. Like it takes like 5 seasons of seeing that guy at the end of the bar to like have him not say anything and then just care about him. And if it's and then all the expats from Next Generation that show up too, like all the random Riker like clones. I think he shows up in this. I know he does in Voyager, but yeah, I don't know. It's a fun show, and I'm glad that you're getting into it. It's funny because you seem to trail Red Letter Media, or like you guys are see, you're synced up for when
Yeah. I
you're.
did see those
Uh,
videos that they posted, yeah, where they were, and that was, to tell the truth, that was actually one of, I mean, I was always going to watch Deep Space Nine. It was always on sort of on the docket, and I will probably eventually watch, some of the other ones too. But watching those videos was what kind of kicked me, in the butt to start this basically. And yeah, I guess the only other thing I'd say, I just want to make a quick comment about the quality of the show, as in like the
oh,
streaming quality. Um, so they never remastered this show, unlike TNG, and TNG looks beautiful even when you watch it on streaming. And this show looks awful. Like it looks so bad. And there's also some audio sync issues in on like the Paramount Plus streaming of this. And so I would recommend that if anybody wants to watch this or they want to rewatch it in a better quality, there are plenty of AI upscales out there, but the good one of the good ones, I should say, is there is a person by the screen name of Queer Worm that did some AI upscaled 960p remasters that look really good. And Paramount's never going to do them because the TNG remasters that they did, they basically did all for naught because they were not satisfied with the sales, with the Blu-ray sales after they did those. And so unfortunately, I don't think we're ever going to get remasters of this, but
the closest
official
thing
ones
you
anyways.
can get is the documentary, like the things we leave behind,
Mm.
where
Mhm.
they did get some money to remaster some specific scenes just
Sure.
for the
Mhm.
documentary. And I because yeah, otherwise, yeah, the AI upscalers are our only hope. That's the only reason I was able to watch like a Space Above and Beyond way back when I was like hunting for that show again, because it's not exactly streaming anywhere. You know, you know, just for example, you know, like that's the only way to see that show is because some AI upscaler has put it up there, and whoever holds the copyright doesn't give a shit. You know, which is, you know, pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, go check those out if you get a chance. But yeah, I will continue to update the show and you, Chuck, on my progress as I slowly make my way through like these 20 episode seasons. Remember when
Yeah,
seasons of TV were like 20
exactly.
episodes?
It was a commitment. You know, like it
Yeah.
took something. You know, and then HBO came along, and you know they just now well, look where we are. You know,
Mhm.
the television golden age and its consequences. You know, because here we are. Next up is Beef, the second season of Beef. Now, I guess I'm just gonna say this right now. I was not as satisfied with the type of beef we had in this season versus last season.
Mhm.
Like, it made a lot more sense why these people were antagonistic towards each other. Like what the setup was, you know. Like I just why are these couples beefing? You know, it wasn't as like it still isn't obvious to me. It's like why are they doing this to each other? That's what I was saying the whole season.
Yeah, well, because it all starts with it's definitely not as strong of a reason as the first one. Well, I'll just come out and say I don't think. Have you watched the whole thing, like the
I
full
have,
season?
yeah,
Okay, so I don't think that season two was not as strong as season one, and yeah, basically the setup for this one is essentially that this younger couple who works for this older couple at a country club, they get this footage of the older couple basically having sort of a knockdown, drag out argument, bordering on like a spousal abuse, basically, where the older couple is afraid of this video getting out because basically it would ruin their perfect image or whatever. And
yeah.
I think it's definitely not as good of a setup as the first season, and they kind of what ends up happening is basically just things start spiraling into each other where it's like
It
we
gets
sort
really
of
fucking crazy. I'll
yeah,
give
it
you
gets it
that.
gets nuts. Yeah. And eventually we sort of forget, okay, why was the original reason why, like, what's the original reason that we hated each other? What's the original reason why you have us basically, it's like, we're going to blackmail you for this, but then we're going to blackmail you for this. And then
Mm.
we're going to blackmail you for, it's sort of this spiraling thing where they just keep threatening to blackmail each other eventually. And, um, yeah, the way that I kind of fell on the season was I thought it got better as it went on for the most part. After the first couple episodes, I was really like, "Ooh, I don't like this," because I found the characterization of Austin and Ashley so weird, where it
Yeah,
was like almost like unbelievable, where they were this doughy-eyed, like super ignorant, like Gen Z couple, and they were constantly like, "I love you, white," or like, "I love you, girlfriend, I love you, boyfriend," and then there was like a flip of a switch where suddenly like Ashley is like, "We're gonna fucking ruin these people's lives," and it wasn't very well done, in my opinion. That like sort of flip, and I think they got more realistic as the show went on, I think, and they sort of turned the dial down on how like weirdly like kindly they were to each other,
mm.
Austin and Ashley. But what did you think?
it, I guess ultimately, yeah. Like I was the with like, much like the first season. All these people suck, and you're supposed to find them obnoxious, and you know, and distasteful and whatnot. But by the end, the the elder couple, you know, played by Carey Mulligan and Oscar Isaac, I was more on their side. You know, like from the first season of Beef, I hated everybody equally. Yeah, but in this one, it was like, yeah, so what? They're scumbag rich people. Like, what did they really do that was so wrong? Like, I was rooting for them more. Even though, like, there was nothing for anyone to win. And, like, for me, eventually I was just along for the ride, especially once it got, like, batshit insane and they're in, like, a wellness clinic in South Korea getting, like, attacked by gangsters or, like, whatever the fuck was happening there. Like, when it just suddenly just turned from, heightened drama to, like, really crazy international shit, I was on board with it. But then I remembered what show I was supposed to be watching, I guess. And then it like whatever peaks it hit, I was going down, eventually. Like in the weird, like, the addition of the is she like a physical therapist that the younger
Yeah.
dude has an affair
Or,
with? Like, yeah,
or
like,
she's no, she's like the
what
she's
was
like the
she?
old Korean she's the old Korean woman's like lackey basically, like the
Yeah,
professional
her
lackey. And
gopher. Yeah,
yeah.
and yeah, and she's because he's doing the physical therapy on her to, like,
Mhm.
test his skills out when she's, like, seducing him. It's like, she's like like why are you here doing this now? Like, it does get incomprehensible after a while, and then it just kind of clicked for me. This is Netflix's version of what's it called?
White
The
Lotus.
White Lotus.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what this show is. But,
Yeah,
like,
I really like that comparison. I mean, it's totally true. Maybe not as like high budget or not as like
but
ornate, but definitely, yeah.
they're yin and yang, pretty hard,
Mhm.
because there's lots of like they're scratching the same itch. It's like lifestyles of the rich and famous, but at the same time, there's always class struggle in both of these shows, and
Mhm.
the haves and have-nots and everything of it all.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I really I was kind of in this similar vein with you where yeah, it does definitely get incomprehensible, towards the tail end. And yeah, they're running through Korea from this like ultra powerful like old Korean woman's like assassins basically. I mean, she basically has like assassins on call. And then there's like that fight scene in the clinic where it's like a full like choreographed like fight chase scene, and it's like, okay, what do we do?
it's their oneer for the season. Like the big
Yeah.
oneer. The yeah.
Hmm. And so, yeah, it does get a little crazy towards the end. And then, of course, I think the trajectory that you had with the show, I think was the intended trajectory where you're supposed to like the younger couple at the beginning because of how, like, again, how kindly they are and how, like, how much they seem to love each other and how, they're kind of just struggling to get by. And then by the end of the show, everything's flipped because of course the younger couple becomes the older couple. That's
Yeah.
exactly what happens is
Yeah.
basically they have become the thing that they hate basically. And yeah, it was, I guess, kind of a, at the end of the day, kind of a very pat ending. But I did want to give a shout out to episode 4, which is the hospital one where they're trying to get Ashley like hospital care. And I think that episode was immaculate. I think that was so well done, and how like just all this weird like heightened reality stuff kept happening, where like she's like sitting in like the hospital bed, and there's that curtain dividing her from the other person, and suddenly a bunch of blood starts dripping on the floor, and she's like, are you okay? And she never gets any sort of answer. And then like the stuff with the red and the blue Powerade where he keeps trying to find the blue Powerade, and he can never get it and stuff. And I loved that. That is the episode that Netflix should submit for Emmys if they're going to do that. They definitely, in my opinion.
I just want to see who directed that episode.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I
Okay, it
they,
was Ling Sung Jin, so the creator.
okay, the creator.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that was really really good. And yeah, overall, I enjoyed it. It's definitely a show that's I think worth watching. Not as strong as the first season, but definitely worth. And I want to see where it's going to go from here. Hopefully, it doesn't take them another like what 4 years to make another season. But
And what is up with that? Like, was it just the writer's strike that kind of did that to a lot of the shows from that era? Like, because like Euphoria also had like a 3 year wait in between, and like
Mhm.
so many shows seemingly have got their knees cut out from them. Like no matter where they were, whether they were at the rise or the fall of their like existences. Like because this is an unfortunate thing. If like things should not take this long to make 12 episodes of something, 8 episodes of something. Like I don't know. Like there was it's much more formulaic. It's easier to just do the same random thing over and over and over again for six weeks. And get like 3 or 4 episodes of TV out of it. Like I don't know. Like it's different times, I guess, but
Yeah,
I'm sick of it.
yeah, it is just taking too long in general. And I mean, even like a show that has had multiple seasons since like the writers or since COVID. I guess, a lot of shows would like to also still blame COVID, but we're past the point where you can
Oh
blame
yeah.
COVID now. And yeah, I mean like stuff like House of the Dragon, it's crazy that we're just gonna get, what is it, the third season of that show now this summer, and it's like Jesus, we should have had 5 seasons of this thing by now. And so
And
yeah, I totally agree with you.
and the consequence there is they're gonna have to compress that story
Hmm.
and effectively do what they did to the second season of Rome to
Yeah.
to House of the Dragon. It's inevitable.
Mhm.
Moving on to something theatrically, I I saw Lee Cronin's The Mummy,
Yeah.
and apart from some very effective, disturbing horror moments, it's a completely nonsensical and stupid premise. Just right off Front Street. If you're gonna because this is what the premise is. There's a cursed mummy, and there's this family in Egypt that for generations made sure that there was like always somebody to be the mummy, to like be possessed by the spirit and be in the sarcophagi, basically. And then for some reason they kidnap the little girl who's from this family, and then for some reason she is found years later, and then it's Evil Dead, in the desert, basically. Because like there's like a vignette at the beginning of this thing that's like 15-20 minutes long, showing this like first family and their interaction with the entity to like set up the rules, because like they don't realize that their house is above this thing. Or it's stupid. It's just
Oh,
there's no.
is this like ancient, this vignette that it's at the beginning? Is it
No,
like
it's modern
ancient
day.
times?
It's modern day.
Oh, okay. That's
It
lame. Yeah.
yeah.
This thing, like it, what is even the mummy about this? Like what, I don't.
Basically they were like, make a mummy movie, and he was like, I made a movie that you can call The Mummy. Like that's what it comes down to. Like it's basically because like I just need to spoil this ending for you because
Sure.
it's gonzo. The father, realizes that the only way to save his daughter is to, and the rest of the family from being exposed to this monstrosity any longer, is to let it possess him. And then he gets put in the sarcophagus to keep the curse at bay, and contained. And then his family move in above him. And like they just live out the rest of their lives, being like, our daddy's the best, because he's just down there suffering in literal torture for the rest of time in this like sarcophagus wrapped up in like all the mummy robes that will contain him.
Yeah, that's
I,
very strange. This movie is so inexplicable
who
because it's
who
like,
greenlit this?
yeah. Well, and it's weird because we're gonna seemingly have this. Is this Universal that put this out?
I believe
Do you know?
so. I need to
Because
double
like
check.
what? Why? Because I mean, Universal, of course, they have the rights for the Mummy because they made the original Mummy, like the old one from like the 30s, and so
Okay, actually, no. This is Warner Brothers. This is
this is more okay.
this is Atomic Monster. So
Okay. Oh, this
Blumhouse,
is
New
so
Line
weird
Cinema.
then. Yeah, it's so strange because it's gonna. I don't know if they are planning on turning this into some sort of like if we're ever gonna get Lee Cronin's The Mummy 2, but we're gonna seemingly get a Brendan Fraser Mummy movie also that is going to be tied to the old Brendan Fraser Mummy movie. So we're gonna have like this horror like franchise called The Mummy that has nothing to do with mummies, and then at the same time we're going to have the continuation of this Brendan Fraser action adventure series also called The Mummy. It's like
Yeah,
so weird
I
that
I'm just
these are the
I
it's strange.
I think what happened because the rights of this make no sense, and I think it's because the Mummy as we know it is public domain.
Oh, it is now. Okay. I didn't know that.
Like
Okay.
it's that's not being spelled out for me, but that is the only explanation that I can see for why we have like nearly 100 years of Universal Mummy movies,
Mhm.
and then suddenly in 2026 we have Lee Cronin's The Mummy from Warner Brothers. That
Yeah,
just
I guess
doesn't
that would
make
make sense.
yeah
I don't know if
because
you can really copyright something as generic. I mean, you can copyright like the old Mummy movie,
yeah.
but I don't know if you can copyright the idea of a mummy. So
So
yeah, that would
I
make
think they
sense.
were just being cute. I think that because this really has nothing at all to do with the Universal Mummy at all. This is something that now Paramount owns. You know what you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know where this came from, but yeah, it I don't. Well, anyway, don't watch it. That's what I
Don't
have to
watch
say. That's what I have to say.
it. Yeah.
Well, what about the Rip?
Yeah. So yeah, speaking of don't watch it.
Uh,
So I finally watched the straight to Netflix movie The Rip, which is the latest from Joe Carnahan. That's the only reason I really watched it was I self-professed Joe Carnahan fan here,
Kind of
where
fan.
yeah, Carnafan here, where I love a lot of his older stuff, especially like I have such a soft spot in in my heart for Smoking Aces. Love that movie. And this is so I'm just surprised at how dull this movie was. This movie's really boring where they really like miss advertise this where I was seeing ads for this movie on like NBA games and like hockey games, and they make it seem like this is like blockbuster action, there's going to be these shootouts, and this is like badass cop shit and drug lord shit. This is like
Damon Affleck, the
yeah.
town. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They were trying to market this thing like what is the God, why am I blanking on what is that action series with Gerard Butler and Ice Cube's son where they Gerard Butler's the cop and Ice Cube's son is
Oh.
the bank robber.
Oh, what the hell is that? I can't think of it. I know
Yeah, but
exactly
the
what you.
basic
I know exactly what you're talking about.
yeah, they're basically trying to market this movie as that where Den of Thieves, that's what it's called. They're trying to make this like the new Den of Thieves, which it is definitely not. That movie, those movies are at least enjoyable. Those are fun to watch. This was just boring. And what this movie is basically like the reported budget of this was $100 million, which is absolutely laughable. This is a 40 at most a $40 million movie, and then they basically gave Matt Damon and Ben Affleck like $15 million kickbacks and then split everything else between the rest of the cast because the entire movie takes place on a one neighborhood basically, that they never go really anywhere else other than the first 10 minutes of the movie and the last 5 minutes of the movie. Otherwise, it's all in one neighborhood. And basically the gist is Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are cops, and they basically hear about a giant drug house in this neighborhood that a cartel owns, and they can go to this drug house, they can bust it, and then basically they skim uh, the cash that they find at the house. They basically skim cash off the top to keep for themselves and for their other fellow cops who, of course, everybody has money troubles, everybody's down on their luck, everybody has a mom who has cancer that can't pay for the cancer treatments. And so these cops, they need this money because otherwise they're going to go bankrupt or they're going to not be able to pay for their mom's cancer treatment, whatever. And so that's the premise. And the entire movie is them just sitting at this house in this neighborhood and waiting for shit to pop off, where they're being threatened by the drug dealers. The drug dealers get a hint that they're at their drug house, and the entire movie is just them getting like phone call, menacing phone calls and people like shooting through the windows, and it never really like pops off until the very end. And so it's just really dull and it's just really boring. And
so how do you compute that with like all of the interview rhetoric, coming from the press, for this movie, where Damon was bemoaning the Netflix's algorithmic approach to storytelling? Does this feel algorithmically informed in that way, where it was like, oh, action at this minute mark, another big sequence at this minute mark, like did those notes that he talked about seem reflected in the movie you saw?
Well, it definitely, we talked about this with our last episode with Apex, where apparently Netflix mandates like an action scene in the first 5 minutes, or at least some sort of scene that gets people sucked in. And this movie does have that, where you get this little vignette type thing, like you were talking about with the Mummy, where this woman, you don't know who this woman is at the time, but this woman is in a shootout with two like drug dealers, and you don't know why, but she's just in the shootout. And then you come to find out who this woman is eventually, and she basically dies. She gets killed by these two drug dealers as she's trying to frantically send a text. And you eventually figure out who this woman is and why she's trying to send this text with her dying breath. But yes, there is definitely like that action scene at the very beginning, and then the movie slows down majorly. And I don't know if it's just because Netflix needs people to watch a certain amount for it to be considered like a watched movie, or for it to count towards their streaming numbers. I don't know, but
well, especially since they're embracing ads, it's really important.
Yeah, because they front load all the ads. They put all the ads in like the first like 45 minutes, and then the back half of the movie doesn't have any. So yeah, that's a good point. I think you're probably right there. And
because they've been signaling that, like their executives, that that their customers are very accepting and receptive to advertising. Like that is Netflix's sales pitch to the advertising realm. And
yeah, it's just I don't know. Like I said, it's just a dull movie. I don't know why. I mean, Damon and Affleck, they're talking about in the press about how like I think Matt Damon was quoted as saying like, I learned in the last couple of years, I've learned the importance of collaboration, and me and Ben have been working, we're longtime collaborators. And so I really wanted to do this movie with him. And there's nothing about this movie that is like meaningful. It's not like it's just like a generic ass like drug like thriller about two like corrupt cops. And I don't know why Ben Affleck thought this was like a meaningful like rendezvous for him and Affleck. Like what? I just don't understand. Like I said,
Did
I
they
think they
just get
both
to
got
go back home to Boston for a little bit? Like, is that the appeal?
maybe. I don't know where they filmed this. It looks like they filmed it on a backlot because, like I said, it's just a the entire movie takes place in a cul-de-sac basically. And so I think they just probably built a cul-de-sac on a backlot and were like, like, oh yeah, whatever. Like this is where this entire movie is going to be set. Oh, and then I just have to mention this. At the very, very end, when the movie does have like a hint of life where they have sort of this final finale action scene, I think they like fucked up in some way and like did reshoots, but Damon didn't want to come back. Damon and Yoon didn't want to come back. Steven Yeun is in this movie, and Damon and Steven Yeun didn't want to come back for reshoots because at the very, very end, basically Steven Yeun and Matt Damon get into like a Mexican standoff type scenario. But the entire thing is filmed either from like a football field away or from only the actors from the neck down. And I think it's because they didn't get the coverage that they needed. And so they filmed the entire thing with either with stand-ins, and so they couldn't get them to come back because it's so bad. And people have pointed this out. You'll find out plenty of like talk about this
Wow.
online, and it's really really bad. And yeah, if you're not gonna watch this movie, just go and watch that like final scene, just basically just for the lulls, essentially,
It's
because
so
it's
funny because this cost $100 million, and they're making
yeah.
like independent movie, like garage film mistakes.
Mhm.
That's crazy.
It's awful. Yeah, it's really really bad because and then there's of course there's plenty of ADR too where they probably got Steven Yeun and Matt Damon to like I don't know if they got them to go into like a sound booth for the day or if they just had them like do it like over Zoom or something, but there's plenty of ADR during that scene where you can hear they're talking to each other but you can't see their face, type thing. And so yeah, it's just bad. I don't need to talk about it anymore. Let's
Yeah.
let's talk about something. Let's talk about something hopefully better. I
Oh,
hope. I don't know. I guess you'll say.
I'll say it way better, but
Okay.
not quite as advertised. Because as you selected what is the most indelible image from Hokum's advertising output, and what most people would, I guess, associate with this film. But I am here to tell you today, Matt, I'm going to spoil this because you need to know this. That this is
Okay.
what we are looking at right now in this frame is the one time you see whatever the fuck this thing is.
Okay. So it's like a dream or like what like a vision or something or
Maybe somebody eats some mushrooms. We don't really know, but it
okay.
shows up just the once. All right, there's just one time where bug-eyed bunny woman is a thing, and I need you to know that it should not ruin your experience,
Okay.
because the less I tell you, even with that, just know that this is not a bug-eyed bunny woman movie. I don't know what my man was thinking putting it in his movie, but he did it. All right, he did it, and I guess I alluded to this when we were talking about Obsession, but much like his previous films, Caveat and Oddity, like there is a command for this very intimate, narrow experience. In terms of what is happening and where it's happening. He like Hokum is the best remake of 1408 you'll ever see.
Okay. I like that. I like the sound of that.
That's what I will say, because at its core, that's what it is. I'm not ruining anything about the movie by saying that, because what it does do, as its story unfurls and its facts are given, and you're left with your interpretation, of what as it's Adam Scott, right? That's his name.
Yep.
Yeah, Severance guy. he does a great job of being an asshole, like a complete unrepentant prick, who is still sympathetic, ultimately. And it does such an effortless, delivery of its exposition that it doesn't feel like exposition, but the movie just feels undercooked and slight. Like you're given so much and you're biting into it and you love the taste of it, but it's like being at like a gastronomy restaurant, and just wanting something to like really like fill your stomach, not just, tantalize your palate. There's just not enough meat, and that the meat got cut off at some point. And I just want to know where it went and what it was. Because otherwise, very happy with the experience and I recommend it. But just know, it may not be what you think it is. But it's going to be worth it in the end.
So it's funny that you say that because how does this stack up to like God, I don't even remember the name of it anymore. This is so bad because I just hated it so much. But how does this stack up to that Tatiana Maslany movie from last year? The horror movie that we watched
Keeper.
about the
Keeper.
Yeah, Keeper. Yeah, so like is it like when you say that Hokum, is not the thing that you expect, that I kind of feel like that movie was the same, but in like a bad way.
Yeah.
And so how does these two movies stack up?
Well, I guess for me, it's because there's the reason. Really, I guess the way I want to frame it is that the journey that the main character is actually going on outside, like what his like personal journey is just as rewarding and satisfying as his horror journey is. And that's not always the case. It's like sometimes like that A-B element to a movie, one works better than the other. But in here, they're so finely fused that, when one reaches its climax, so does the other, in a very satisfying way. And but at the same time, it's like I want more of a explanation. I wanted more of a crossover between, because that's what I was told, was that oddity kind of existed within the same realm, and we don't get enough of that. I think, like either like commit some time and resources to fulfilling that promise, or just don't make it at all. Because I was expecting, I guess there kind of is, because somebody does ding like a hotel bell at one point. And if you've seen Oddity, like, uh-oh, that's no good, But no, it does a really good job of like taking what amounts to like a Murder, She Wrote premise, but then making it legitimately kind of scary, in a way that show never could be. You know what I mean? But it doesn't go overboard. It doesn't go too far. And you almost wish it would. And I guess its moment of excess is before us, but, is Bug-Eyed Bunny Woman, who is never explained.
No, I can't wait to see it. And I want to know, I just want to know kind of what's going on with this thing. And I want to know what this movie seems to have a lot of, very striking images, including the bunny woman, but then also the image that I used for our thumbnail for this episode of like that stone, like baby angel thing. Like that's another thing too, where I was like, oh, what is that? Like,
and that's
I'm very excited.
It's like, it's a cool Irish, like, hotel. Like that's really all that we get. And, it's much like the house and Oddity, you get so settled into it, and like it showcases the nooks and crannies, and and starts building the things you're supposed to like fill in the gaps of like the darkness with what terrifies you. Like it's the mechanics are all there, and I recommend it. And I'll be vague but yeah, if we were going to do a feature review, 1408 would be the double feature with it, because it's uncanny. Like if you did the Mad Libs, you could be talking about both movies, basically.
Sure. Yeah. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah. That does it for us today. For our watch list. There's some things you definitely want to skip and some things you definitely should check out if they sound interesting to you. Our feature episode coming up after this one is our review of Something Wicked This Way Comes and Obsession, which are a very interesting pairing indeed. Thank you, Matt. We recorded these things back to back and we did it. We survived.
Yeah.
We made it through. We'll see you all next time, guys.
See ya.